Hey everybody, Lindsay here, and this is my review for The Exorcist Believer. I was excited to see this. I saw the preview before Oppenheimer, and it just looked ridiculous. Just way over the top, but looked like it could be good. And even with stuff that's come out just in the past 24 to 48 hours that people are saying it's trash, that it's awful. I think it has like a 35% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and like 55% audience score. I don't put much stock into those, but that's what they are. The overall consensus though was that this film was not very good. Middle of the road or worse. But no matter what anybody says, when I go watch a movie, I sit down and I'm ready to buy into whatever bullshit you're gonna try to feed me up on that screen. Like, I want to buy in to this world, into this story, into these characters. Let's do this. But my suspension of disbelief and my tolerance for silliness only goes so far, you know? Because I mean, really up until maybe the first 40 minutes, this movie had me. I was in there, I was buying it. I thought it was creepy. There were some great jump scares. They built up a lot of suspense with the girls going missing. The story is engaging. The characters are beginning to take shape. But then this film, a little past the halfway mark, just does a nosedive for me. And there's a couple little moments where, you know, it kind of regains and rights itself, like for a split second, but then it nosedives again. And it got to the point where I was laughing at a couple things I can talk about. We'll get more into details when in the spoiler section, but right now I'm just doing my general thoughts for those people that haven't seen it. The first half of this movie and the second half are just so different tonally and story-wise, and it's jarring how fast this movie turns to utter shit. I was highly entertained throughout though, but I was just very confused. It just felt very over the top in some sections and too complicated. The story gets very complicated with certain plot mechanisms, and the movie doesn't do enough with the characters to flesh that out to where it makes a good movie. And if I had to score this movie, I would probably say it's like a 5 out of 10, 5.5 out of 10. Just really middle of the road. It didn't quite achieve the heights it was going for, and it didn't reach lows enough for me to wholly enjoy just watching the spectacle of it. Now we're gonna talk about some spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, skip to this time code.
What did you do?
No, I was really on board at the beginning of this movie. I loved the look of this movie. I will say that. I really loved how this movie looked throughout most of it. I liked the whole opening scene in Haiti with the earthquake and the blessing. I liked the setup of the father-daughter dynamic. I liked the whole concept of the girls and how, you know, they weren't known friends. They were raised different religiously, all this kind of stuff. I liked that dynamic. I liked the whole sequence where, you know, they take the girls to the hospital and they're put through all this examination, and it's very reminiscent of the first film when Reagan is taken to the hospital and has to undergo all these fucking tests, and it's traumatic to her, and their possession just kind of unfolded slowly with their symptoms and the way they were behaving, and then, oh, they're connected to each other in some weird way, and how the one girl's father and the other girl's parents handled the situation very differently. I think I can pinpoint the turning point in the movie for me, and that is when Ellen Burstyn shows up. I mean, there were kind of hints of this coming a few scenes before. We get the nurse nun and the scene that she has with the one girl's father telling him her story. That's where you could kind of see the shift coming. But then Ellen Burstyn comes on screen, and God love her. I don't know why she's in this movie. She doesn't do anything. She's there just to connect it to the first movie. That's it. And I mean, some people could argue that it's so we can get closure with her and Reagan. Well, we had closure at the end of the first movie, or as much as we were gonna get, because this movie delivers exposition that sets up that we need closure. And I don't... It's manufacturing a need for that character to be in this movie. And it's nice to see her, and it's nice to see fucking Linda Blair show up at the end. I was hoping that she would show up at some point. I mean, they had the pictures of her, but I was hoping that we would see her show up, and she did. So that was nice. But it didn't do anything for the story or the movie. It served no purpose. Beyond fan service. That was all it is. And that's fine, but it doesn't help the movie. And so every time Ellen Burstyn would come on screen, I would start laughing because I'm like, why is she here? What is she doing? How is she helping anything? And through the whole part where, we hear her talking, she's like, I've studied exorcisms, but I'm not an exorcist. But then when she goes upstairs to the one girl's room, she starts trying to exorcise her. That makes no sense.
We've met before.
Mother. And I think for me personally, where this movie kind of failed is we did not learn anything about the demon. We learned nothing about the demon. Usually demons have a name, like in the first one, it's Pazuzu. Was this Pazuzu again? Was it one demon possessing both girls? Were they possessed by two different demons? What's up with the demons? I want to know. And that goes into how some of the plot progression stuff was very clunky to me. It's like they go into the woods to do this thing. We don't know where they heard it from or what, where you go into the woods and you light a candle and have some object that connects you to who you want to talk to or something like that. And they don't really show much of it. It's just and we don't know why the demon came through that. Was the demon attached to something? Because that's how it is in the first one. And I'm not trying to compare it too much to the first one because it doesn't have to be exactly like the first one. But it's in the same universe, so it usually has to play by some of the same rules. Some of them. Because the first one has three distinct stories. We learn about Reagan and her mother, the two priests, and the demon. But in this one, we have a demon or demons that we don't know. We've got these two girls. We have the one girl's father. We have the other girl's two parents. And then the nurse nun who lives next door. And then we have like his friend coach that lives across the street. The alternative medicine lady that he knows. And then the nurse nun went and found this priest. And so they're like all doing this together. And it turns into a farce. Because they're all doing things but the significance of those things are not conveyed. And so as they're happening, you're just like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I don't know if it's helping, if it's hurting. It was just utter confusion, and it didn't help the story. And I swear to God that if they do a trilogy with this, if David Gordon Green does a trilogy with this, in the next movie, Ellen Burstyn and Linda Blair are going to be in that fucking hospital for the entire movie. And they're going to throw some homeless dude that they think is possessed out the window. The devil dies tonight. So yeah, that's my overall thoughts. I think if this movie was either simplified or fleshed out more, it would have been more successful in what it was trying to do. I was highly entertained by the entire thing, good or bad. But I was pretty disappointed. I was hoping that this would be really good, that, the critics were wrong, like they have been with a lot of horror movies. But I mean, poor Ellen Burstyn. First she nearly broke her back in the first one, and now she's in this one.
God played a trick on you.
That's gonna do it for this quick little review. I just wanted to get on here and tell you my quick thoughts about The Exorcist Believer. If you've seen it, let me know what your thoughts were. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think of Ellen Burstyn? So until next time, this is Lindsay signing off. I'll check you later. The devil dies tonight.